Hello summoners, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we are going to be talking about Stryfe and all his abilities. And I'm extremely excited about him because apparently he is the Mutant Aegon, and I'm not saying that, they're saying that in multiple slides. Well, not in those exact words, but you'll see. So let's get this thing started. The first slide is his bio, and I'm mostly going to be skipping this, but in a very short version, he is a clone of Cable and he was kidnapped by Apocalypse, and now he is Apocalypse. Coming to his abilities, he uses his heavy attack to build charges. You can get maximum 20 charges, and depending on these you can access the resources in his kit. So these resources include concussing the opponent, blocking unblockable attacks, stunning unstoppable opponents. He can also get rid of unstoppable, we'll see later on, and he can also glance incoming attacks, so that makes him a little bit sustainable. But this is the big one: ramp his damage potential. And you can store these telepathic charges as persistent charge and carry throughout a quest by using SP3, so similar to Sabertooth I guess, or you can just win the fight, which also works. All of this makes him a great option for really long and extreme fights like those found in the Abyss. So they straight up say that he is going to be an Abyss counter. And in his strengths, they say high damage potential by storing persistent charges, and you can ramp up his damage to rival other high damaging champions such as Starlord, Aegon and others. So they just compare him and his damage to Starlord and Aegon, and hopefully because you can carry his persistent charges, so it would be really interesting. And I do believe we need more characters like Aegon for people like Brian who can't pull Aegon. And yeah, that would be really interesting to see how he works. Then they say great survivability because of his glancing, and he can block unblockable attacks, stun unstoppable opponents, this is nice, but at the same time in most situations I don't think this will be a very useful ability, but still nice to have. And then let's ignore the weakness as always. So his blasts, they occur on medium, heavy and special 2. These deal energy damage and cannot be evaded. So a similar like Iron Man Infinity War has this similar thing with evade, that his plasma attacks, and I'm not sure what particular, I haven't played Iron Man Infinity War in a very long time, but it makes him, having that on mediums does make him kind of an evade counter. You can go for mediums and heavy attacks and stuff. So like even in a stun immune matchup, you can bait heavies and go for mediums and special 2s, and you know that they won't get evaded, so that's nice to have. And they will deal energy damage, which is nice, and they also reduce the potency of incoming passive direct damage by 100%. So I'm not sure about this, but does Thorns kind of stuff like, does that count as passive direct damage? I'm not sure, but if it does, then this could be pretty useful, because they say in some niche scenarios Stryfe is able to perform only medium or heavy combos to completely ignore incoming passive damage. So do let me know what incoming passive damage exactly means, but if that includes Thorns and stuff like that, then it could be really good. Then his telepathic charges, you can get max of 20, and they are unaffected by ability accuracy reduction, but you can't gain them while you are power locked, burn or drain. So do keep that in mind. Although there are not that many nodes or situations where, I guess there are some situations where your power is logged over a certain bar, but yeah. And then all like the 20 charges, you are going to gain almost 70 attack rating per charge. So that could be pretty decent. If you multiply this by 20, that is a lot of extra attack. And then 55% chance to gain telepathic charge while landing a heavy attack. So the best, and you also gain 15% chance with your each full bar of power. So the best way to gain charges is I guess just use spam heavy attacks and reach 3 bars of power. And when you are at 3 bars of power, each heavy attack has like 100% chance, because 15 into 3 is 45 plus 55, that's 100% chance to gain the charge. So yeah, that is nice, and it shouldn't be a very long ramp up either, because the max is just like 20 heavy attacks in stuff like a labyrinth is not too much. And you can also, like, this is not recommended, gaining charge by getting hit by critical attacks is not recommended at all. and you can also gain charges by each time Stryfe or his opponent misses. So this is in very limited matchups, and does he? I don't think he has anything that bypasses miss, so why would you want to miss anyways? And if you have more than 5 charges and you're struck, then that consumes 5 charges and the attack lances, so that could be useful in a lot of situations for sure. I think it could be even like a decent lance for attacker, because again, not that much ramp up, and you have the safety net of the lancing thing. Then striking an opponent or into the block while they are unblockable. So basically, if you dash and the opponent is unblockable, it consumes 2 charges, but it removes the unblockable effect and gives them a passive 1.2 second stun. This is really useful. Like, as long as you can use heavy attacks, I'd say he's a pretty decent unstoppable counter on paper. We'll test things out when we actually get that, get him in the CCP beta. Probably will take him against 6.2 champion. Dave Notes say that Stryfe's heavy attack is a great way to top up telepathic charges, and again, like at 100%, you have a 100% chance at 3 bars of power to get these charges on your heavy attacks. On 4th light attack, it consumes 1 charge for a passive concussion, and it reduces the opponent's ability accuracy by 20%. So I'd say in fights where you don't need ability accuracy reduction, just change your combo and don't like either end it early with medium, light, medium or something, or I'm not sure, like just don't have a 4th light attack, and that way you can do that and have the concussion and then use the heavy attack to gain it back. These concussion effects can stack multiple times, effectively reducing the opponent's ability accuracy to 0 after inflicting 5 stacks. This also works great in combination with the SP3 concussion. So it's like 12-second ability concussion. So I'm not sure if you can stack 5 in 12 seconds, unless maybe there is a way to extend this later on. And heavy attack deal a burst of some energy damage and plus 500% potency if invisible, so that could be good. Gain plus 3 telepathic charges if invisible. Does he have a way of getting invisible? I read it once, but it was more like I was reading the Aegon thing and not a detailed reading. But anyways, so his SP1, the second hit in this attack inflicts a non-stacking passive shock. Alright, it does some shock damage. After this attack, activates a telepathic clock to go invisible for 3 seconds. So this is how you go invisible, giving the opponent a 100% chance to miss. This will not trigger when fighting an opponent with hashtag psychic shielding. So I'm not sure how many characters have this, but this kind of stuff makes this game a little too much, like kind of complicated. I bet this will trip up some people, depending on how many characters actually have psychic shielding. If Stryfe lands an attack, blocks an attack, or opponent activates a special attack, his position is revealed and invisibility is removed, so you can't be invisible. I guess let's see the Dave notes. When playing Stryfe, you will never want to throw your SP1 while the opponent has 1 or more bars of power, since the opponent might retaliate with a special attack of their own and strip away Stryfe's cloak. Instead, bait the opponent's special before using the invisibility thing. This way you have free and easy access to heavy intercepting via the cloak. This could be interesting. Again, this kind of stuff, like until we play, we can't really say for sure how good and useful this will be, but on papers this guy looks like a very powerful character for sure. And then special 2, and he needs to be a powerful character in the mutant class if people are going to be ranking him up. But special 2, the first hit and final 2 hits in this attack are these blasts, each dealing some burst damage plus 80% potency if the opponent is shocked, and you can get shock from the SP1. Blast gains some attack rating per, oh this is nice. So if you have 20 attack, like 20 charges, then you are going to get some pretty big SP2s, I imagine. In an average fight or shorter fight, SP2 is a great finisher. Open with SP1, to build up charges and use those charges to detonate some chunky damage in SP2. If Stryfe has his signature ability unlocked, he can also store a bunch of the charges as persistent charge when closing a fight. So that, because yeah, you can store the charges if you win the fight, so that could be nice. Then special 3, gain 5 charges. These last for the rest of the quest but are capped at 100. Wait a second, so otherwise they are capped at 20, but if you go for here, it says max 20 and here it says capped at 100. So does that mean that after 20, let's see the notes, SP3 is best to use longer fights such as Abyss, since it allows Stryfe to store up to 25 telepathic charges permanently for the rest of the quest. If Stryfe is long enough, we'll be able to hit his maximum ramp in 4 SP3 rotations, then he can switch over to SP1 SP2 loop. So apparently 25 telepathic, it might be a typo. If it is, then I'll confirm it in the comment section and pin that comment. But SP3 is apparently great for longer fights, and it has some concussion as well if the opponent is shocked. So that is his abilities. His signature ability, while gaining charges from any source other than his ability, Stryfe has a 20% chance to gain 1 additional charge when opponent glances. A basic attack, Stryfe has a 40% chance to activate his SP1 invisibility for 3 seconds, so that could be nice. Like if you get hit, you get glancing and then you could be invisible, and that could give you time to recover and get back in the fight. Winning a fight converts 70% of telepathic charge into persistent charge, so apparently he needs to be weakened in order to do that. So Stryfe's signature ability is useful for ramping him charges in average fights, alright, so it's not necessary for Abyss then, because if you can reach your SP3, that way you can still ramp him up. But for shorter fights, like that is something that is like a major flaw of Sabretooth. Like if you're using him in shorter stuff and you build him up, then there are a lot of fights where you can't get to a special 3 and you lose your charges. So if he is awakened, then that doesn't happen and you carry 70% of your charges, which is nice. And even if you don't, like, building up 20 charges should not be too hard. The signature chance for glancing hit to activate telepathic clock is also extremely valuable when making a mistake and eating a hit, since it has from eating, but also alright, so that is something that I said already. And these are his synergies. If you want to take a better look, you can pause and read, but I am going to be finishing the video here. I was interested to see the cable synergy, and it is pretty good for Stryfe. Like he just starts the fight with +5 telepathic charges, so that could be really nice. And yeah, that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, have a nice day. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this video, share with your alliance, and I also have a similar video up on Jubilee if you want to check that out. That's going to do it. Stay safe, bye bye.